All right, y'all, we are back with another video. I definitely had to bring y'all this because President Trump was not ready for what Marco Rubio just did. And of course, President Trump believes in Marco Rubio, but what he just did was an absolute masterclass. He just went to all the leftist networks that be talking crap about Donald Trump. And of course, he went to CBS, ABC, NBC, and all of them try to hit him with got you questions, was trying to get Marco Rubio to, spill like private, conversations that President Trump is having with Putin. And Marco Rubio was not going for that at all. He absolutely destroyed them on their program because, of course, they always trying to get them with them got you questions or playing old clips of what Marco Rubio said years ago or months ago. People act like that. People don't change their mind. Yes, I can say something what years ago, but that ain't how I feel now. Also, I don't get why people always do that. Don't make any sense. And then I got another clip I want to show y'all of the First Lady Melania sending President Putin a message. And not only that, that watermelon head Adam Schiff is even in more trouble as more news, devastating news, has came out on him. And last but not least, here go old forgotten, the traitor himself, Mike Pence, running over there to CNN and thinks that he knows President Trump really well. Oh, I know what President Trump is telling Putin. So out of all places, this traitor runs to CNN. So like I said, y'all please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to everybody showing so much support. And shout out to the ones that always watches the entire video. I appreciate all of you that do that and the ones that let me know in the comment section that you did stay to the end. I really, really appreciate it. And the ones that come straight in and hit that like button. If you haven't hit that like button, please stop what you're doing. Hit that like button for me. It really, really helps out a lot. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight into this. I got to show y'all this. I mean, what Marco Rubio just did was just absolutely amazing. So let's start it off with this right here. When he went over there to NBC's Christian Worker. So check this out by Eric Daugherty. He said, Marco Rubio smackdown. NBC's Christian Worker attempts a gotcha by playing a clip from 2022 of Rubio saying Putin is a professional liar who can't make any deals, but her attempt failed miserably. So let's check out what she tried to do, because they always try to get these gotcha questions, but Marco Rubio was ready for it.
Terry, I want to play something you said about President Putin. This was right after the invasion in March of 2022. Take a look.
This guy lies, habitually lies. He's never kept a deal they've ever signed, and he lies all the time. And I don't know why, but he plays this like a violin in the West, because the West wants to believe that you can cut a deal with everybody. You can't cut a deal with guys like this. He's a professional, experienced liar.
Mr. Secretary, given that, what makes you think that if you are able to reach a deal with President Putin, that he would stick to it, based on, as you just said, he's a liar?
Well, that's the point. That's why the deal has to have enforceable mechanisms in it. That's why the deal has to have things like security guarantees. That's the point I was making a few minutes ago when you were asking me about looking someone in the eye. What's important here is actions, not words, not paper, document. Those are all important. Those are elements of a deal, but they have to be enforceable. They have to be verifiable. They have to be enduring. There's no point here in signing a deal that's going to be violated in 3 or 4 months. There's no point in doing that. It actually would make things worse. So that's why this is such a difficult thing. Not only do you need a deal, you need a deal that's verifiable, that's enforceable, and that's enduring. If you don't achieve that, then I think you could have a ceasefire for a few months, a few weeks, and then the war will start again and more people will die. That's not the outcome we're interested in. That's not the outcome anyone wants. So that's why this is so difficult.
All right. Secretary of State.
So like I said, he handled it very, very well, because like I said before, this is what NBC, ABC, they always do this when they know that it's going to get somebody over there that support President Trump. They want to play old clips. Oh, I got you. So now how you going to answer this? And Marco Rubio answered it professionally. Now, before we move on, I had to bring y'all this one by Eric Daugherty. Said, breaking, Zelensky is pleased that the Trump administration is ready to provide security guarantees if it means peace between Russia and Ukraine. This is a historic decision that the United States is ready to take part in security guarantees for Ukraine. Security guarantees as a result of our joint work must really be very practical, delivering protection on land, in the air, and at sea, and must be developed with Europe's participation. It is positive development that Zelensky is finally saying something positive about making peace with Russia. Let's hope he doesn't screw things up. He meets with Trump tomorrow. So it didn't stop there, and that's what I like about Marco Rubio. He went to NBC. Now he's over at CBS, and you already know Margaret Brennan them. We know how these people are liars. We know they hate Donald Trump guts. They run, they were running with the fake Russia hoax. All of them was. So check this out right here by Eric Dahl. He said, holy crap, CBS Margaret Brennan thought she knew more about foreign policy and the Russia-Ukraine negotiations than Marco Rubio. So she thinks she knows more than Marco Rubio when Marco Rubio is actually in the room, but yet she's on a show running her mouth and thinks she knows more than him. So let's check out what Marco Rubio just said.
You know, there is concern from the Europeans that President Zelensky is going to be bullied into signing something away. That's why you have these European leaders coming as backup tomorrow. Can you?
No, it isn't. That's not why they're coming as back. That's not true. No, but that's not that's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're not coming.
That February Oval Office
they're coming here tomorrow
in front of television cameras where President Zelensky. Do
you know how many meetings we've had since then?
Oh no, I know, and I was just up in Alaska.
Look how she's running her mouth talking about Zelensky's going to be bullied. What make her think she even know anything about that? That's just some dumb crap that she's running with. She's not in the room. She's not there, so she don't know. You talking to a person who's going to actually be there, who's been there. Like, these people are, what is wrong with this woman?
Watching the one with Vladimir Putin where a red carpet rolled out.
No, but it was Zelensky. We've had more meetings. We've had one meeting with Putin and like a dozen meetings with Zelensky. So but that's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're coming here tomorrow because we've been working with the Europeans. We talked to them last week. There were meetings in the UK over the previous weekend.
And they said President Trump was going to demand a ceasefire
as early as Thursday. No. But you said that they're coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're not coming here tomorrow. Oh, this is such a stupid media narrative that they're coming here tomorrow because Trump is going to bully Zelensky into a bad deal. We've been working with these people for weeks on this stuff. They're coming here tomorrow because they chose to come here tomorrow. We invited them to come. We invited them to come. The president invited them to come.
But the president told those European leaders last week that he wanted a ceasefire. The president went on television, said he would walk out of the meeting if Vladimir Putin didn't agree with one. He said there would be severe consequences if he didn't agree to one. He said he'd walk out in 2 minutes. He spent 3 hours talking to Vladimir Putin, and he did not get one. So there's
because obviously things happened during that meeting. Well, because obviously look, our goal here is not to stage some production for the world to say, oh, how dramatic, he walked out. Our goal here is to have a peace agreement, to end this war, okay? And
exactly, and that's what President Trump said. He wrote a message. We read that yesterday. If you haven't checked out the video I did yesterday, please go watch it. He had a long message saying, hey, we want a peace agreement. That's what we want. We don't want a ceasefire because, yeah, it can be like that, and then in 2 weeks, it's back up again. So he said, I want a peace agreement. Why do Margaret Brennan think she know more than Marco Rubio? She talked like she's in the room. Oh, the president said this. The president said that. This is what's going to happen. Y'all going to try to bully him. That's the reason why he bringing people with him, because y'all going to try to bully. What? Is another narrative. This is what they do. Every week they come up with another narrative to run with. I've never seen nothing like this. Like these people here, Martha Brennan, they don't want President Trump to win. They want him to fail. They don't want to see a peace agreement. They want President Trump to fail so they can have something to run on. And it's just sickening the way these people think.
Obviously, we felt, and I agreed, that there was enough progress, not a lot of progress, but enough progress made in those talks to allow us to move to the next phase. If not, we wouldn't be having Zelensky flying all the way over here. We wouldn't be having all the Europeans coming all the way over here. Now, understand and take with a grain of salt, I'm not saying we're on the verge of a peace deal, but I am saying that we saw movement, enough movement to justify a follow-up meeting with Zelensky and the Europeans, enough movement for us to dedicate even more time to this. You talk about the sanctions. Look, at the end of the day, if peace is not going to be possible here, and this is just going to continue on as a war, people will continue to die by the thousands. Yep. The president has that option to then come in and impose new sanctions. But if he did this now, the moment the president puts those additional sanctions, that's the end of the talks. You've basically locked in at least another year to year and a half of war and death and destruction. We may unfortunately wind up there, but we don't want to wind up there. We want to wind up with a peace deal that ends this war so Ukraine can go on with the rest of their lives and rebuild their country and be assured that this is never going to happen again. That's the goal here. We're going to do everything possible to make that happen if it's doable. It will require both sides to make concessions. It will require both sides to get things they're asking for. That's how these deals are made, whether we...
Salute to Marco Rubio for putting her in her place. Margaret Brennan getting put in her place for saying some crap like that. And like I said before, it did not stop there. And I'm going to say this again, salute to Marco Rubio. Not only did he go to, like I said, NBC, CBS, now he coming to ABC all in the same day. And not only this woman over here on ABC wanted him to pretty much, expose what's going on behind the scenes. But we're going to start off with this clip before we get to that one. It said, breaking, ABC just tried to grill Marco Rubio for the U.S. giving Putin the red carpet and President Trump having a warm handshake, and Rubio was having none of it. So now they are mad over him having a red carpet out and shaking the man's hand. What is wrong? It's like these people, the woke liberals, found anything to be mad at. And we don't care. I've said this plenty of times that Donald Trump is the best president ever. So let's go ahead and check out this woman crying about a red carpet.
Critics of President Trump will say the pomp and circumstance, the red carpet, the warm handshake.
Warm.
That President Trump simply lost that Putin gained there just by being on the world stage and walking down a red carpet with the president. Your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, critics of President Trump are always going to find something to criticize. You don't even pay attention to it anymore. But I will tell you this, Putin is already on the world stage. He's already on the world stage. The guy's conducting a full-scale war in Ukraine. He's already on the world stage. He has the world's largest tactical nuclear arsenal in the world and the second largest strategic nuclear arsenal in the world. He's already on the world stage. When I hear people say that, it elevates him. Well, all we do is talk about Putin all the time. All the media's done is talk about Putin all the time for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
That doesn't mean he's right about the war. That doesn't mean he's justified about the war. Put all that aside. It means you're not going to have a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. You're not going to end a war between Russia and Ukraine without dealing with Putin. That's just common sense. I shouldn't even have to say it. So people can say whatever they want. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to get the Russian side to agree to things that they don't want to agree to if we're going to have peace. If not, there'll just be a war. They'll keep killing each other. And life will go on in America and in the rest of the world, but not for Ukraine. So the president has invested a lot of time in trying to bring an end to this war. He deserves credit.
And that goes to show you that President Trump deserves credit because he wants the killing to stop. So, of course, you got to talk to Putin. Like, what is wrong with people? What do they want President Trump to say? He want the killing to stop. He want a peace agreement. And these clowns on ABC who've been pushing fake news about President Trump, they criticize everything. Think about this. They are criticizing this man shaking Putin's hand. Oh, it was a warm handshake. What? Was it a warm handshake when Joe Biden shook his hand? When Obama shook his hand? When Bill Clinton shook his hand? Not only that, when old Chuck, when he shook his hand. But now, since they hate President Trump, it's just, President Trump, gave him a warm handshake. It just don't make any sense at all. These people are hypocrites. That's what they are.
For doing that. He gets criticism for doing that. He could have just let this war go on. The president could have just said, this is Biden's war. It started under him. We'll do what we can for Ukraine, but we're going to focus on other things. He could have easily said that.
Yep.
But he's the only leader in the world that could get Putin to a meeting to talk about serious.
There you go right there. And it didn't stop there. And of course, this woman wanted to, keep on poking the bear, and now she want to know what's going on behind the scenes, and Marco Rubio was not having none of it. He wasn't having none of it. So check this out by Eric Daugherty. Said, laugh at my you-know-what off. ABC host asked Marco Rubio to spill all of the negotiating cards on her program, and his response is hilarious. So this woman had the galls to sit up here and ask this man to spill all the negotiating cards that's been handled behind the scenes, and she wanted Marco Rubio to do that? Check out what Marco Rubio said.
Can you name any concessions that Vladimir Putin made during this meeting? Have any
I wouldn't name him on your program.
Have any concessions
I wouldn't name
been
him
asked?
on your program. Why would I do that?
Where is the pressure?
Of course, because you can't have a peace agreement. No, you can't have a peace agreement unless both sides.
And he started off, I would not name it on your program, and especially on ABC. y'all already don't like Donald Trump, but you asking Marco Rubio to spill what's been said behind the scenes, so now everybody and all the left-wing media can run with it?
Give and get. You can't have a peace agreement unless both sides make concessions.
Yep.
That's a fact. That's true in virtually any negotiation. If not, it's just called surrender. And neither side is going to surrender. So both sides are going to have to make concessions. So, of course, concessions were asked. But what utility would there be of me going on a program and tell you we've wagged our finger at Putin and told him you must do this and you must do that? It's only going to make it harder and less likely that they're going to agree to these things. So these negotiations, as much as everyone would love it to be a live pay-per-view event, these discussions only work best when they are conducted privately in serious negotiations in which people who have to go back and respond to constituencies, because even totalitarian governments have constituencies they have to respond to. People have to go back and defend these agreements that they make, and figure out a way to explain them to people. So we need to create space for concessions to be made. But of course, concessions were asked.
There you go, right there. So she was literally thinking that Marco Rubio was finna go ahead and spill everything that's been said privately, and she asked him. And he did go on to Fox News. So Marco Rubio made his rounds. But first, check out what Charlie Kirk said about, what Marco Rubio is doing. He going out to the woke media and exposing them. He said, brave to Secretary Marco Rubio this morning for embarrassing CBS and ABC News. Impressive. He didn't just walk out of those interviews. Imagine hating President Trump so much that you actively root for peace talks to fail. What vile, ghoulish creatures. And I agree with him 100% because that's exactly what they want. They want President Trump to fail. They don't want this to go through smoothly. They don't want to. That's the reason why you got Hillary Clinton pretty much trying to come out and support President Trump all of a sudden. No, Hillary. We do not want your support. We want you in jail. So let's check out this right here, another masterclass from Secretary Marco Rubio. Check this out on Fox
Why
News.
did President Trump's meeting with Putin end with no ceasefire? And what does Putin want?
Yeah, well, a couple things. First of all, if you recall, there's no way you can have a meeting like that. And we never said there was going to be a deal coming out of the meeting because the Ukrainians are not there. This is a war between two countries. It's not America. It's Ukraine and Russia. We met with the Russian side. We've spoken repeatedly with the Ukrainian side. We'll see them again tomorrow in person, along with our allies in Europe. So I do think some progress was made in that talk. In terms of narrowing down the issues set, and now these are hard issues that remain. The conversation about where the territorial lines are going to be, questions about long-term security guarantees and who Ukraine can have military alliances with, things like that. These are difficult things, but I do believe we made progress in narrowing down the issue set, but there's a lot of work that remains. There's a reason why this war has been going on for 3.5 years. It's a war that never would have happened had President Trump been president, but he inherited it. And now he's trying to do everything he can to bring about peace. He's made peace a priority of his administration, as you've seen with all the peace deals we've been able to achieve throughout the world. This one's the hardest one. Everyone acknowledges that. But he's the only one in the world that has any chance of doing it. Look, peace may not be possible at the end of the day. We don't know. But if it is possible, he's the only one that can get it done. Exactly. And that's why everyone's asking him. They're asking him to meet with Putin. And they're also asking him to come here tomorrow and meet with him to talk further about what we do next.
That's why I say, man, President Trump is the best president because he's willing to take chances to say, hey, I want the killing to stop. I know it's between Russia and Ukraine, but I want the killings to stop. Like I said, the previous administration wouldn't do anything like this. Biden was a vegetable. We don't know who was running the White House. We knew Kamala Harris couldn't run the White House because all she did was just laugh. That's all she did was just laugh all the time. So we don't know who was running the White House in the last administration. I think Obama probably was running for a third term.
A European diplomat has confirmed to Fox that President Trump supports Putin's proposal for Russia to take full control of Luhansk and Donetsk, all of Donbass. Do you support this move?
No, first of all, I don't know who told you that, but they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, the president has said that in terms of territories and stuff, these are things that Zelensky's going to have to decide on. These are things that the Ukrainian side is going to have to agree to. All the president is trying to do here is narrow down the open issues, narrow them down, and then see if we can play some role in bringing that closer together so we can stop and end this war once and for all.
Exactly.
Look, this war is only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. You've seen that in the escalation and the attacks. Russia's economy is now 100% full-time war footing. They are producing munitions. The Ukrainians are as well. Both sides are hitting each other very, very hard. And the war is only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. So he's trying to do everything he can to bring it to an end. But people that are out there talking what they don't know with all these stupid leaks and things of that nature, they all want to just sound important. They don't know what they're talking about. The president's been very clear. In terms of like what Zelensky's going to agree to, that's up to them to decide. They're going to have to decide what they're willing to give and ultimately what they're going to get, what they're going to demand as well. Both sides are going to, but here's what I can tell you for certain. You can't have a peace deal between two warring factions unless both sides agree to give up something and both sides agree that the other side gets something. Right? Otherwise, if one side gets everything they want, that's not a peace deal. It's called surrender. And I don't think this is a war that's going to end anytime soon on the basis of surrender. So this is tough stuff. I mean, it's difficult to bring these two sides together. We made some progress, we believe, and now we'll have to follow up on that progress. And ultimately, where this should lead is to a meeting between the three leaders, between Zelensky, Putin, and President Trump, where we could finalize it. But we got to get this thing closer before we get to that point.
Salute to Marco Rubio, man. Like he said, whoever with these stupid leaks just trying to sound important do not know exactly what they talking about. Don't know anything. So let's move on to right here with the First Lady Melania Trump, wrote to Putin. So we checked this out by Nick Sorter. He said, First Lady Melania Trump wrote a beautiful letter to Vladimir Putin urging him to end the war for the sake of children. So we're going to go through this right here. And let's read this and see exactly what the First Lady Melania sent to Vladimir Putin. She said, Dear President Putin, every child shares the same quiet dreams in their heart, whether born randomly into the nation's rustic countryside or a magnificent city center. They dream of love, possibility, and safely from danger. As parents, it is our duty to nurture the next generation's hope. As leaders, the responsibility to sustain our children extends beyond the comfort of a few. Undeniable, we may strive to paint a dignity-filled world for all so that every soul may wake to peace and so that the future itself is perfectly guarded. A simple yet profound concept, Mr. Putin, as I am sure you agree, is that each generation descendants begin their lives with a purity and innocence which stands above geography, government, and ideology. Yet in today's world, some children are forced to carry a quiet laughter untouched by the darkness around them, a silent defiance against the forces that can potentially claim their future. Mr. Putin, you can single-handedly restore their melodic laughter. In protecting the innocence of these children, you will do more than serve Russia alone. You serve humanity itself. Such a bold idea transcends all human division, and you, Mr. Putin, are fit to implement this vision with a stroke of the pen today. It is time, sincerely, Melania Trump. That right there was amazing by the First Lady, man. That was amazing. And I definitely wanted to show y'all that because that right there had went viral as well. And let's move on to this right here because, Watermelon Head Adam Schiff ain't out the loop yet. So we already know he already been hit with mortgage fraud, this Russia hoax situation. So let's check this out right here by Eric Daugherty. He said, holy crap, Special Attorney Ed Martin drops a bomb. There's more on Adam Schiff regarding Trump-Russia hoax. Check this out.
You generally don't just do it on one thing. So we have that's our what we're asked to do as prosecutors, and that's what we're doing.
Well, we are all waiting for accountability here. Adam Schiff went on Sunday morning programs and said there was collusion in plain sight. And he was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, so he had to know better that there was no evidence of any collusion in plain sight. So are you saying that this criminal referral is about something completely different, about mortgage fraud? Are you looking to get him on something other than Russia collusion?
Well, I'm saying that there's a referral from Bill Pulte about a mortgage fraud, about Adam Schiff. That's publicly discussed. His own lawyers have been out there. Now there's more on Adam Schiff. And all we're going to do, again, is get to the facts of this and use all the tools that we have in our system. What we've discovered, and I know you want to ask me about some of this, in the weaponization, is that Joe Biden's Justice Department actively targeted American citizens, Catholic Catholics who went to mass, parents who went to school boards, people who were involved in the Russia. You know, I hear from Carter Page every now and then. Carter Page, it was destroyed by the Russia hoax, and we're sitting around and pretending it's okay to say that, you know, there was a secret meeting on December 9th, 2016 in the Situation Room where they plotted the Russia hoax, and then we're going to say, oh, that was really bad. No, it wasn't really bad. It needs to be held accountable in every way we can.
Salute to Ed Martin. Now, he didn't stop right there. He goes on right here to say, breaking Special Attorney Ed Martin just indicated he and his team are investigating the J6 committee members for destroying evidence. Let's go. I'm telling you, Fox News been lit up this morning. First Marco Rubio, now Ed Martin. Check this out.
Real quick, what about the January 6th committee? Did they destroy evidence? Is there criminality there?
Of course. Of course, we're all in that too, and trust me, a lot of people did not get a pardon that were involved in the select committee, and they ought to be keeping an eye on their mailbox because there's a lot to be asked about.
And the pardons that were given out were done by an auto pen. Are they legitimate?
Well, yeah, I'm the pardon attorney, so I'm in that too. I can tell you we're investigating how the pardons were granted. It was not like anything in the history of America what not Joe Biden, his staffers did, not just with the auto pen, but with faking him out on the memos. More to come, Maria. I'm telling you, Pam Bondi has let us loose, and when this comes out, it'll take the whole of these people's hoaxes down, and we're doing it bit by bit, and it's fantastic. It's a great privilege.
Boy, it said Pam Bondi has let them loose. She ain't playing around now. So the last thing I want to get to, I want to show y'all this clown, Mike Pence, this traitor, done ran over there to CNN. It's funny that they love to bring him and old John Bolton when they got something to do with Trump and Putin. They love throwing them on just so they can say some stuff. But Mike Pence act like he'd really know President Trump. So check this out about Johnny Maga. He said Pence is trying to sabotage Trump's effort to end the bloodiest European conflict since World War II. So check out where he went over there and told Jake Tapper.
What do you make of all that? I mean, there are observers out there, people who like Trump, people who are rooting for Trump, who think that Trump got played.
Got played? What?
Well, look, I served alongside the president for 4 years. I know his style.
You don't know nothing.
Dealing with these dictators.
You don't know nothing.
The velvet glove, but I think the hammer needs to come, and it needs to come immediately. I think the president, as he welcomes President Zelensky to the Oval Office tomorrow, and a whole cast of our allies in Europe that are going to be joining him, I think at the same time he ought to pick up the phone and ask Majority Leader John Thune to immediately pass the secondary sanctions bill that is supported by virtually everyone in the United States Senate. I think the combination of engagement, but also making it clear to Putin that we are prepared to take actions that would literally break his economy, even while we redouble our commitment to the security of Ukraine and to working closely with our European allies is important. Look,
I'm going to tell you right now, Pence, Trump ain't taking no information from you. He don't want none of your thoughts, and no matter what you thinking. He don't want anything from you. Is a traitor. So you can sit on this show and say whatever you want to say.
Look, I said it before, I'll say it again. In the long history of the last 25 years, Putin has made it clear. He launched an attack into Georgia when President Bush was in office. He attacked Crimea and Ukraine when Obama was in office. After that disastrous withdrawal in Afghanistan, he crossed the border and started this war 3 years ago. Putin's made it no secret of the fact that he wants to reassert the old Soviet sphere of influence, what we used to call the evil empire in Eastern Europe. And I think Putin only understands strength. So while the president and his diplomatic team engage in this reapproach with Putin, and there seems to be interest, in my judgment, Putin's not going to stop until he's stopped, until he understands that there's going to be enormous cost to Russia, and there's an unflagging commitment to defending Ukraine's sovereignty by the United States and our allies.
This old clown, Mike Pence, think President Trump really care about what he have to say. Oh, I know President Trump. I've been around him. I know. You don't know anything. But the only thing you do know is that you're a traitor. You do know that. So like I said, y'all get in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think about all of this. And like I said, as more information comes out, I will keep y'all up to date with everything. Like I said before, thank you all for watching, especially the ones that made it to the end. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.